We in the car. We got Wawa. We in the car. We drive slow. We doing things that the boys don't do.
It's things that the boys, or things that those girls don't do. I don't know.
I don't. So, not only did they have Ben's pepperoni sandwich today at Wawa, for me, they had a double bacon because they didn't have single bacon. I would have just gotten single bacon, but they didn't have it, so double bacon it is. We are going to the cutest little show today. I'm so excited. I've done this show before. It rains every year at this show. It's supposed to rain again this year. We're praying it won't, but it always does. It's gonna be a good day. My best friend, how dare she, has been on vacation for a week and I haven't seen her. So I get to see her today. She's gonna be there today. How dare she go on vacation?
How dare she have a family?
I know. Uh-oh, this is for us. Uh-oh. When it's first come, first serve, you gotta get here first or you don't get to pick.
I think that shell right there.
So this event runs 1 to 9, which is the weirdest times for an event, but it's pretty great. We had to get here at 10:30. 10:30 to 12 is setup time. And then you have to have your car in vendor parking by 12, so.
We've been here for like 10 minutes and we're still waiting in line for them to assign us our space.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
We're late and our spot from last year under the tree, which I loved, is already taken, which is our fault. We're late, but it's fine. It's fine. Everything's gonna be fine. It's fine.
Whose fault is it?
Mine. It's totally my. It's my fault. It is 100% my fault. I'm just sad that my spot under the tree is taken.
I just hope it doesn't rain.
It's not my spot. It's a spot, but
It's
I would
the spot we love.
loved to have been back under the tree.
Because in case you have not been here with us before, we like being underneath the trees.
I would love to have been back under
A,
the tree.
the trees block the sun, so it's cooler. B, the trees block the rain, so we usually don't get as much water.
They're
on
trying
us.
to leave.
I don't care.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. They're not trying to leave right here.
I know they were just trying to move.
Oh, yeah, they were moving forward. So that
I'm like,
they
their
open up
door's
latch
open.
back.
Yeah, no, just kidding. Just kidding. They're not moving.
I'm just kidding. I'm not cold and callous. I would have let them leave.
You sure?
The only thing that's
You're pretty cold.
The only thing that's cold about me is the Peachy Keen monster.
Not sponsored.
So Sarah's out talking with another vendor right now to see if it's okay with her, depending on how close we are, because she's another crochet vendor. But we just had something happen that has not happened to us before. Someone walked up and said, "Are you Sarah and Ben from Crochet Vision?" We're like, "Yes." And she goes, "I recognize you from your YouTube channel." So that was interesting.
Okay, one of the other vendors had this at the event, and this is freaking brilliant. Freaking brilliant for the ground. We are getting eaten alive today, and it's brilliant. Okay, little gust of wind just flipped the tent. All right, we are set up. We're on a little bit of a diagonal, and we pulled out because the way that this kind of set up today, these vendors are really far forward and then these ones are kind of pressed back. There was no distinct line where we needed to be set up. So we're kind of on a diagonal just to kind of help make it flow. I don't know if that makes sense. So we're actually out pretty far right now, which again, I don't normally like to do, but everybody asked me to pull out because that way it just flows better from one tent to the next. We tried the bucket hats today and we've already sold one, so that's exciting. Well, I officially melted today. It was so hot here. It's insane. The best part about making bucket hats is that when I make one, it goes on the table. And it goes right there. All the vendors were supposed to be packed up by 9 before the fireworks started. Hi, are you ready for this one? Make sure you stay to the end because Soap Lady from Drama Video, from the drama show, she's back causing issues.
Again. Hello guys, today we're going to be recapping another event that we did recently. This event, we did it last year, we did it this year.
It's one of my
We're
favorite
going to do it
shows.
again next year.
Yeah.
This event is great. It is local to us. It is such a nice day.
It rains every year.
It rains every year. Actually, no, did it rain this year?
No,
No, it didn't rain this year. It was just hot as heck.
It was supposed to rain this year, but
Yeah.
it didn't. So thankfully the rain held out, but it rained last year, and it's like always on the schedule. It's projected to rain that day.
Right.
Every year.
But it's a great event for us every year. So this event, one of the things that's unique about it is that when you arrive, the spots are first come, first serve.
Yeah.
You get to put yourself wherever you want to be. They have the spaces marked out, but if you want the spot that's next to the entrance, you can have that spot if it's still available. If you want the one that's near the food trucks, you can have that spot if it's available.
No, I don't necessarily always love this.
It does have some benefits. It does have some definite disadvantages. One of the nice benefits to it is if you see someone else who's selling things that are very similar to you,
Right.
you can self-regulate and move yourself further away from them. Or if you want to be right next to them, you can put yourself right next to them for whatever reason. Or if you have a friend who's a vendor there as well, you can put yourself right next to them like we did.
So we knew going into this, because we were there last year, there were at least 5 other crocheters.
Last year there was 5. I think this year there was 4, including us.
I don't know how many there were, but there were a significant amount of crocheters at this event. And it's just to be expected. I know that it's going to happen. And one of the girls, I know, she's so sweet, and I absolutely adore her. And she had like basically almost my spot from last year, and we got there late, so I didn't get my exact spot from last year that I wanted, which was right under the tree in case it rained, because I love my spot under the tree. But I was late, and it was my fault, and it's totally fine, and I was late, that's my fault. But I saw where she was, and I was like, oh no. Because you want to be respectful of the people who get there first. So I went over and spoke to her. I was like, are you going to be okay if I go over there? Because I saw where my friend was and I wanted to be next to her so we could just hang out for the day, basically. And she's like, girl, I don't care where you are. I'm like, are you sure? She's like, yeah. So I got to be next to my friend, my jewelry vendor friend, for the entire day. And we literally just hung out. And thank God we were next to her, because I damn near passed out. It was so hot. Yeah. I literally almost passed out from the heat, which I think is a great segue into prep for the heat in July and August. Yeah. You have to. We didn't have too many heat issues last year.
No, we didn't have any heat issues last year except one day at the beach.
Right. And we've had at least 2 days this year with heat issues already.
Right. Last year we had one day that was at the beach where it was like a little bit hotter, and we were like, oh, we should get a fan for next year. And then we never had another day like that, so we didn't get the fan. We have the fan now.
After this, I literally almost passed out. I ended up, I don't know if I went or you went, to go get an ice so I could literally put it on the back of my neck because I was about to pass out. It was so hot.
Yeah. So thankfully, I think you went and got a frozen lemonade, I think is what it was, because you held it against your neck and then you were able to sip on it when it would melt. But be prepared for the heat in the summer. We were running late that day. We weren't paying attention. We forgot our cooler with cold drinks and stuff. We were having just a bad morning.
We were having a bad day. We forgot a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
We're missing a tablecloth or a spinner piece. We were missing a handful of things. Ben had to run home and get stuff. Thank God we were close to home. Yep. It was just rough. I wasn't planning on doing a front-facing setup. I was gonna do I wasn't gonna do a walkthrough. I was gonna do a U, and then that didn't happen, and because I didn't have the things, and it worked out better in the long run. But it was just, we had a lot of stuff just go wrong, and we had to fix it on the fly. Yeah. But when I tell you I was so close to passing out, you were getting concerned.
Yeah. I handle the heat really well. And even I was starting to get, at one point I got a little lightheaded, and I'm like, oh crap, if I'm getting like this, and I looked over at her, I'm like, we need to do something about this right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, we did, and then it was fine.
And there were some people, like, who did pass out.
Yep, there were people that were at the event that started having heat stroke and heat exhaustion. They had EMS reporting to the event multiple times throughout the day for people that were dropping out because of the heat. I don't think any of the vendors actually dropped out because of the heat, but there was definitely a bunch of customers that were there that just didn't pay attention to how hot they were getting.
Because, again, the forecast for the day, it wasn't supposed to get nearly as hot. It was supposed to rain.
Yep.
So rain normally means it's going to cool down.
And then it didn't.
It didn't. It did not. It did not.
And it was early enough in the season that we hadn't really had any major hot days yet.
No, it was the end of June. So it really wasn't, I was like, it's going to be fine. It's not that bad. Like, it's hot, but it's not that hot. No, it was that hot.
Yep. A big part of it was, I think, that this event was held basically in 2 adjacent fields. And because they were in these fields, there was really no good shade for people to sit and cool out in. There was some picnic tables set up, but they were all in the sun. The vendors, all of us were in the sun with obviously our tents set up, but I don't know if you've sat in a field with a whole bunch of those tents. You don't get much airflow through, especially once people start setting up their tent walls to give them shade from the sides. It kills the wind coming through, and everyone starts to cook.
Yep. It was rough. We also, for the first time, had a vendor who recognized me from YouTube, so hi.
Yes, we had someone came up to us
Hi.
as soon as we pulled in. She's like, "Are you Sarah and Ben from Crochet Vision?" Like, yes, we are.
Yeah.
That was fun.
It was.
Honestly, it was like, someone recognized me?
I was like, what? And then I turned into the most awkward person ever. I feel so bad. Hi.
Yeah. And then she was like, "I watch your YouTube videos. I love seeing you guys. I was so
She's
excited."
She's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I know. I love this show, though. We're so sweet. So, hi. Just wanted to say hi. That also reminds me of another point. The bugs were horrible. That bug spray that we sprayed on the ground was from another vendor that was like 2 down from us. That was so helpful. And then I had actual bug spray that I had found in my little market bag that we then ended up sharing around. And thank God we all had bug spray because the bugs were insufferable.
And
oh my gosh, in the grassy field, it was gross.
And that's just another example of make friends with your neighbors.
Yep.
It happens every event where we've got some sort of thing to share in regards to helping out our neighbors helping us, which leads into something else that happened at this event. If you are at an event, you are responsible for your tent and anything that it does. That includes if the wind picks it up and blows it away, or onto another person's tent.
Yep. You probably saw it in the beginning of the video. I'm not sure where I'm going to put it. I might put it right here. Okay, little gust of wind just flipped the tent. Because I've said it so many times, and I feel like people don't believe me that those little stupid disc weights and one on each leg is not enough to weigh your tent down. There was barely any wind this day, and it literally just lifted this tent up and dropped it on our neighbor's tent.
Right.
And it broke her brand new tent. She had a $200 tent, and it just flat out broke her tent.
Yeah. Those little disc weights, I've seen them as little as 8 pounds and as much as 12 pounds. Regardless, putting one of those on each of your tent legs is nowhere near enough. Most events that we do will say in the contract that they require at least 20 pounds of weight per leg.
And honestly, those little discs, if you lift them, they don't even feel like they're 10 pounds. Sandbags are so the way to go, and 80% of the contracts that I sign say 40 pounds per leg.
Right.
You're better off being safe than sorry, because quite frankly too, that tent flips up and that disc goes flying and whacks somebody in the head. You're now responsible for that disc that hit that person, the tent that flipped onto the other person's tent, anybody that gets injured in that tent, the tent that is now broken, and your tent that's now broken.
It doesn't pay to not use proper weights. You can get the sandbags. What were they, like $20 for a 4-pack?
Yeah,
they're cheaper.
I will link
than
them
those
below.
discs.
Yeah, they are.
You have to get the sand to put in them. Sand from Home Depot and Lowe's is super cheap. You can get a big freaking bag that's gonna fill up most of your sandbags. I think it's less than $5. Like, it is not worth it to use the convenient discs and not use enough of them. Because even if you do use 4 of those discs per leg and you've got the 40 pounds, those discs don't stay on the legs very well.
No.
Most of the time, they just slide on one side, and all it takes is someone carelessly bumping into it, not realizing it. Now you've got no weight on that leg.
I've seen other people do different things. I've seen people use concrete and PVC pipe.
Yep, that's a very popular one.
I've seen people do a whole bunch of different things, and quite frankly, I don't care what you do. Just have proper weight on your tent because you are responsible for it. The people whose tent flipped, they kept saying, oh, we're new at this, we didn't know, but it's your responsibility to know. If you are doing vendor events, you need to know. And then they were really upset when they were like, well, you broke my tent and you need to pay for it. Yeah. And my poor vendor next to me, she's like, it's a brand new tent, what do I do? And I'm like, well, they're going to be paying for your tent. She's like, what? I'm like, they broke your tent.
Yeah.
They need to pay for it right now. Like, no. Because she's like, I guess I could put a claim in with my insurance. And I was like, for what? They broke your tent. They need to pay for it. That's how this works.
Right.
And sure as she ended up leaving with the cash in hand from the other vendor. And I was not going to let her leave there without it because it was absolutely nuts. And the poor guy was like, she's like, I'm staked and I'm weighted. Because you can, technically, if you're in a grassy field, you could stake your tent down and that helps. I've never staked down at an event.
I was about to say, if you're using just the straight stakes down, it's nowhere near as good as solid weights.
Some events won't let you stake into grass.
Right.
You have to have weights.
Yeah. They're, like, you could use the corkscrew stakes. Those work significantly better. But anyone that's used those before knows that as soon as you hit a rock, you've gone as far down as you can go with those tent weights. Proper weighted tent weights are definitely the way to go.
And even and the guy wasn't even really apologetic.
No, he was more just trying to make an excuse. And then when he was told that he was going to have to pay for it, he was like, and it's like
they barely apologized. It was dumbfounding. I was dumbfounded. I was just blaming it on being new. And I'm like, I feel like everybody who does events feels like, well, that's never going to happen to me. It's never going to happen to me. I do little events. I'm just starting out. I don't have to have the proper weights. Because we didn't have weights for a while until I was like, we need to have them.
Yeah.
Because I've seen this happen at so many events and it is so important. And again, this is a very small little local event. This isn't any of like the big shows that we do, and these are the shows that it happens at the most.
Yeah.
It's like people think they're just starting, they don't need to, and it's not going to happen to them, and that's every single time when it happens.
And we unfortunately learned this one the hard way, that if someone breaks your tent, you need to confront them about it immediately. Otherwise, they're not going to pay you.
Yep.
We had an event last year at the beach where this guy was riding his bicycle and he wasn't paying attention, collided with our tent and broke one of the tent legs. And then I wasn't there. I was, I think, in the car getting something. And then Sarah was just so... She was helping customers, and then this guy did this, and she's trying to deal with both of those things at the same time. And the guy just kind of grabbed the tent leg and, like, bent it back, and he's like, oh, look, it's good as new. And then rode off on his bicycle before we could, like, actually look at it.
Yeah.
And so I got back from the car, and Sarah's like, some guy just ran into the tent. I need you to take a look at it. And as soon as I looked at it, I was like, this is the last event that we're using this tent at. He broke the tent leg.
And it was broken.
Yeah.
So... it's stand up for yourself and know, like, if things like that happen and someone else because it's damaging your property, you need to get paid for that.
Not just that, but you can't use that tent anymore.
Right.
Because if you use that tent and then it breaks further and someone gets injured,
then you're responsible.
Not just are you responsible, but even if you have insurance, if that insurance company finds out that you knew that the tent was broken and you used it anyway, that's negligence. Your insurance company isn't going to cover it, and then you're on the hook for everything.
Yep.
So we did have one really, really cute thing that happened while we were there. Someone came up and looked at one of the manta rays and was like, "Oh, those are the sea flaps." And literally went like this as I said sea flaps. I couldn't think of stingray or manta ray. Those are sea flaps. It was so cute.
It was great. They will be sea flaps forever now.
Yes.
Yep.
And now for the part that
you've all been waiting for.
Have been waiting for.
Soap Lady returns.
Soap Lady's returns.
This show last year for Pack Out was a little bit of a shit show because at the end of the show they do fireworks and there's the fire department, not the fire department, the police department, I'm sure the fire department actually as well, involved. There's a lot of moving parts at the end of this show because at the end of the night the fireworks go off, the whole big thing. And this year they wanted vendors out before the fireworks, whereas last year we were allowed to be out after the fireworks, and a little kerfluffle, mix up, whatever. We were supposed to pack out at 9 this year. They want us packed out by 9 this year. So we had a little bit of misinformation of when we had to start packing out. We were originally told 6, then we were told 7, then we were told... We ended up speaking to the coordinator, who I love her dearly. She said, guys, just do me a favor. Start packing out at 8. You have to be out of here by 9. And we're like, don't even worry about it. It will not be a problem. We will be out of here by 9. We were packed out, and 80% of the vendors, I think there were 3 left that were not out by 9, and the other 2 were out by 9:05.
Right. Other than
Soap Lady.
Who... Now, let me pause real quick. We call her Soap Lady because she sells soap. But she also has been selling these lights. We mentioned it in the other video. They're
like snap together little lights, and in the dark,
they look pretty nice.
When she's going to sell the most of them, because you can see what the light's going to do when it's dark in your house. It makes sense.
Right. This event, for whatever reason, she... pushed out way beyond her tent.
Oh my, she was literally there. You saw how far apart we were from like the vendors across from us. She, next to the garbage cans in the middle of the row, set up a table in the middle.
Yeah, where she was assembling those lights to try to drum up business for them, which, as long as the coordinator didn't have a problem with it, whatever. But at 9 o'clock, when she's supposed to be done packing up, we look over, and not only was she not packed up, she was still assembling lights.
She hadn't even started
packing
out.
And so the coordinator saw her.
And we were going to stay to see the fireworks, so we had set up a little blanket, and we put out little chairs so we could see the fireworks. We were allowed to stay to see the fireworks. So we set up to see the fireworks, and all of a sudden I see the coordinator marching over to go talk to her, and I was like, oh, this is going to be good. And it was. And all of a sudden, her tent went dark.
Yeah. And then...
dark!
And then by the end of the fireworks, she wasn't there. The fireworks is a very long show, though.
It's a very long fireworks show. They do a really good job. It's like a 20-minute...
Yeah. And every time you think it's done, they start another set of fireworks. They do it all to music. And they do a great job. But... yeah.
I was just absolutely dumbfounded. It was very, very clear. We had to, like, the coordinator was like, guys, do me a solid. I can't have you here at 9. She's like, I don't care when you start packing out, but be gone by 9. We're like, don't even worry about it. We will be out by 9. She's like, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Totally cool. Great. Love it. Awesome. Great. Cool.
Yeah, that's not what happened. Well, we were out.
We were.
But Soap Lady, not only was she not out by 9, she hadn't even started packing at 9. And then, when I say that she was gone by the end of the fireworks show, I don't mean her stuff was gone. I mean she was gone. Mm-hmm. She was not at her booth anymore. The booth was still mostly set up because she had to go and get her car.
Like, she hadn't even gone to get her car yet.
She was still setting up lights at 9 o'clock. She was still at that table in the middle, assembling more lights to try to get people as they were leaving after the fireworks show. She had no intention of doing what she was supposed to do and be gone by 9.
And, like, last year the cops were yelling at us after the fireworks show. They were not happy that we were not packed up before the fireworks. I'm like, I have a contract that says I can be here, so don't know what your problem is. And, like, the cops were really, really, really not happy about it last year. And
they were professional. They just were not happy.
They were not happy about it. I was like, look, my contract says I don't have to start packing up until after the fireworks, so not my problem. And they were like, no, you have to be packing up. I'm like, no, that's not what the contract says. And then this year, everyone was like, you gotta be out of here before the fireworks. We're like, okay, totally fine. Like, it says that now. That's fine. But I'm not being told that after I already have a signed contract. And we had no problem doing that. Literally, we were like, talking in the corner, we're like, yeah, this is not a problem at all. It's absolutely
Granted,
fine.
We got a bunch of sales last year after the fireworks. Like, it's not as...
I mean, I spoke to the coordinator. I was like, I mean, hey, if you don't want to stay till after the fireworks, you could just hire me and I'll stay until midnight. And she was like, no.
We also talked to her about potentially raising the cost of the event to pay... 2 days. Well, no, not the 2 days. I was saying to have it be that the extra cost goes to pay the overtime for the police officers that have to stay there longer. So the whole reason that they needed us gone before the fireworks is because they then needed to get all the customers and everything out of the area by a certain time, because the police officers
bus people in.
They would only get authorized a certain amount of overtime. So we were like, well, maybe if you increase the cost of the event by a little bit, and then you extend how long the police officers get their overtime for, then it's the best of both worlds for everybody involved. The vendors get to stay till after the fireworks show so that they get the sales of the people that are leaving. The people that are leaving get their last minute things that they need, and the police officers aren't getting screwed out of their overtime. So that was just a suggestion we floated to her.
I don't think she's going to do it.
I don't think she'll do it.
She was not up for it at all. It's totally fine. But I was like, hey, coordinator.
Yeah.
I'm about to say her name. I'm like, hey, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, not saying names.
I'm trying not to say anybody's names. Like, that's, like, a lot of people were like, what's your name? And I'm like, guys, I'm not saying anybody's name. I'm trying to keep this as professional as possible when we talk about these events. I just love this coordinator. She's so sweet.
Yeah.
She's
and
so sweet.
People in general like to hear the drama that occasionally happens from these, which is the only reason we really put it in the videos.
Yeah. But I don't believe she, again, had the audacity to just, like, forego the rules. The rules didn't matter. She's just like, well, whatever, it's fine. I'm like, no!
And now we've known this lady for a while. And
she used to be my friend.
Right. And she has a reputation for doing stuff like this. So we know that she's going to get a reputation amongst the coordinators for this. So I wouldn't be surprised if next year she's not allowed back.
So if you like this video, guys, make sure you give it a thumbs up.
Tell us in the comments what you'd like to see. Please subscribe if you haven't already.
And also, maybe think about subscribing to our second channel, The Visionary Journal. I'll link it here.
Somewhere.
I still don't know where it goes. I know I put it in and it goes somewhere, and it goes somewhere. It's one of these places. I don't know where.
We are going to be putting a lot more like vloggy stuff on there. And also when we travel, I'm getting deployed soon. And Sarah will get to visit me for at least part of that. So we're going to put stuff from that trip on there as well.
And we're house hunting.
And we are house hunting. We have one video up already with house hunting and dolphin watching. So if you haven't seen that, you should definitely check it out.
I sell my crochet patterns on my website, crochetvision.com. I also sell my finished items there. And that is it, guys. Let us know what else you want to see, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye, guys.